Dr. Rowan Harrison adjusted his telescope one final time, his fingers dancing across the familiar controls with practiced ease. The mountain observatory had become his sanctuary since leaving his position at the prestigious Maxwell Research Institute 3 years ago. Here, among the stars, he could almost forget the failed experiment that had cost 2 lives and his career. The night was unusually clear, the kind that made the stars seem close enough to touch. Rowan checked his instruments again, tracking an unusual energy signature he'd first noticed 2 nights ago. It didn't match any known celestial phenomena, and that made it exactly the kind of mystery he needed. A brilliant flash lit up the sky, followed by a sound like thunder that shook the observatory's dome. Rowan rushed to the window, his heart pounding. What he saw made him question everything he knew about the universe. A trail of luminescent particles, too controlled to be a meteor, too close to be a satellite, descending rapidly toward the forest below. His scientific instincts warred with common sense. The rational choice would be to call authorities, report the anomaly, and let proper channels handle it. But proper channels hadn't exactly worked in his favor last time. Besides, whatever it was would be gone by the time any one official arrived. The drive down the mountain road was treacherous in the dark, but Rowan knew every turn. He'd walked these paths countless times, seeking solace in the wilderness. His old Jeep protested as he navigated the rough terrain, following the fading glow that pulsed like a heartbeat through the trees. The impact site was surprisingly small, no crater or burning trees. Instead, he found a perfect circle of frost-covered ground, steam rising in the cool night air. In the center lay a figure that defied explanation. She, and somehow Rowan knew it was a she, was humanoid but clearly not human. Her skin seemed to shift between transparency and an opalescent sheen, with patterns flowing beneath the surface like living circuitry. She was injured, that much was clear from the way her light pulsed erratically. "Hello." Rowan approached cautiously, medical training from his research days taking over. "Can you understand me?" The being's eyes opened, revealing irises that swirled like galaxies in miniature. "Help," she managed, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance that made the air vibrate. "Please." Rowan knelt beside her, assessing her injuries. Strange, luminescent fluid seeped from several wounds. Her skin felt like silk over steel, warm to the touch, but with an underlying rigidity that suggested a completely alien physiology. "I'm Dr. Rowan Harrison," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm going to help you. Can you tell me your name?" "Theron," she whispered, her patterns flickering weakly. "Pursued. Had to. Emergency landing. Your world. Nearest safe haven." Safe was relative, Rowan thought, but kept it to himself. "Can you move? I have medical supplies at the observatory, but we need to hurry before anyone else investigates that light show." Theron attempted to stand but stumbled. Rowan caught her, surprised by how light she was despite being nearly his height. The moment their skin made contact, a jolt like static electricity passed between them, making his hair stand on end. "Interesting," Theron murmured, her patterns brightening slightly. "Your biological signature. Compatible." "We can discuss biology later," Rowan said, helping her toward the jeep. "Right now we need to get you somewhere safe before." The sound of helicopters in the distance made them both freeze. Theron's light dimmed dramatically, almost disappearing. "They track my energy signature," she explained weakly. "Military? Government?" "Probably both," Rowan replied grimly. "But I know these mountains better than they do. Hold on." He took a different route back, using old logging roads and game trails, keeping the jeep's lights off when possible. Theron watched everything with intense curiosity despite her injuries, her patterns shifting with each new sight. The observatory's medical room hadn't seen use in years, but Rowan kept it stocked out of habit. As he helped Theron onto the examination table, she caught his wrist. Her touch sent another shock through his system. "Conventional treatment won't work," she managed. "Need compatible life force. Your blood could heal." Rowan stared at her, understanding slowly dawning. A transfusion. But our physiologies are completely different. The risks. I will die without it, Theron stated simply. Choice is yours, Dr. Harrison. The helicopters were getting closer. Soon, they'd begin searching the area systematically. Rowan looked at his unexpected patient, this impossible being who had literally fallen from the stars. He'd failed to save lives before, because he played it safe, followed protocols. Call me Rowan, he said, rolling up his sleeve. Let's make history. The old transfusion equipment hummed to life as Rowan inserted the needle into his arm. He watched his blood flow through the tubing, deep red against the sterile medical equipment. Theron observed the process with those mesmerizing galaxy eyes, her patterns pulsing in sync with the flow. Your species, she said softly, so willing to give of themselves. It's rare in the universe. Don't make us sound too noble, Rowan replied, carefully inserting the second needle into what he hoped was a vein in her arm. Her skin gave way like liquid crystal, then sealed around the needle. We're just as capable of destruction as anyone else. The effect of his blood entering her system was immediate and extraordinary. Where it flowed into her, Theron's natural luminescence intensified. The patterns beneath her skin began moving faster, more purposefully. Her wounds started healing, but not like any healing process Rowan had ever seen. The damaged tissue seemed to crystallize, then reconstruct itself from the molecular level up. Fascinating, Rowan breathed, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Your cellular regeneration is like nothing in human medical science. The way your tissue restructures itself. The way our energies merge is equally fascinating. Theron interrupted, watching him with increasing alertness. Your blood, it carries more than just life force. It carries information, memory, potential. Before Rowan could ask what she meant, a wave of dizziness hit him. The room swam, and suddenly he was seeing double, but the second vision wasn't of the medical room. He saw strange crystalline cities, vast ships that sailed between stars, and beings of pure energy engaged in what could only be described as a civil war. What's happening? He managed, gripping the edge of the table. Our connection, Theron explained, her voice carrying new strength. My species can share memories through biological exchange. I didn't expect it to work with a human, but you're different, special. The sound of helicopters had grown closer, now circling the mountain. Rowan checked the transfusion line. He'd given enough. Any more would be dangerous for him. As he removed the needles, Theron sat up, her movements now fluid and graceful. They're scanning for my energy signature, she said, walking to the window. Her skin rippled with complex patterns that made Rowan's eyes hurt if he looked too long. But something's changed. Your blood, it's altered my biological frequency. Rowan joined her at the window, trying to ignore the lingering dizziness and the strange new awareness he had of her presence, like a humming in his bones. Is that good or bad? Both. Theron turned to face him, and Rowan gasped. Her eyes had changed, still galaxy-like, but now with flecks of human green, his eye color. Your genetic material was more compatible than I anticipated. The merger is creating something new. Knew how? Rowan asked, though part of him already knew the answer. He could feel it in the way his own blood seemed to sing in his veins, in the subtle luminescence that had begun to show beneath his own skin. Life, Theron said simply, placing a hand over her abdomen. Where she touched, patterns of light danced beneath her skin in completely new configurations. Your blood didn't just heal me, Rowan. It's creating a bridge between our species, something that has never existed before. The implications hit Rowan like a physical blow. You're pregnant? But we didn't. I mean, it was just a blood transfusion. Your understanding of reproduction is charmingly limited, Theron said, amusement in her tone. My species evolves through genetic absorption and adaptation. Compatible DNA can trigger cellular transformation. Your blood was exceptional. Before Rowan could process this information, The observatory's lights flickered. Multiple vehicles could be heard approaching on the access road. Theron's expression grew serious, her new patterns pulsing with concern. "They'll have questions," she said. "Your government will want to understand, to study, to control. And they're not the only ones searching." She looked up, through the dome, at the stars. "My people will come looking too, once they detect the new life signature." "Your people? The ones you were running from?" Rowan moved closer, instinctively protective. "Why were they pursuing you?" Theron's patterns shifted to darker hues. "My world is divided. Some believe we should remain pure, unchanged. Others seek to evolve through merger with compatible species. I was a scientist, studying genetic compatibility across the galaxy. When I found evidence that humans might be viable candidates for merger, both sides wanted my research. Neither for benevolent reasons." The sound of boots on the observatory stairs made them both tense. Theron's light dimmed, but now Rowan could feel her anxiety like a physical sensation. The connection between them had grown stronger, more defined. "We need to leave," he said, already gathering essential supplies. "I know places in these mountains where we can hide, at least until we figure out our next move." "Our?" Theron asked, those hybrid eyes studying him intently. "You would abandon your life here." Rowan looked around at the observatory, his sanctuary for the past 3 years. Then he looked at Theron, at the subtle glow now visible beneath his own skin, and thought of the impossible life growing within her, a true bridge between stars. "My life changed the moment you crashed," he said. "Besides, I'm apparently going to be a father. I'd say that comes with some responsibilities, even if the conception was unconventional." Theron's laugh was like wind chimes in a cosmic breeze. "Unconventional seems to be a specialty of your species." She took his hand, and energy crackled between them. "Together, then." "Together," Rowan agreed, just as the first pounding on the door began. The underground research facility wasn't what Rowan had expected. Instead of sterile white walls and harsh fluorescent lighting, the space was designed with surprisingly comfortable living quarters. The subtle hum of electromagnetic shielding permeated the air, masking Theron's energy signature from both human and alien detection. "Your security measures are quaint," Theron observed, running her fingers along a wall. Where she touched, faint ripples of light followed her movement. "Though I appreciate the attempt at comfort." Dr. Diana Patel, the lead scientist assigned to their case, watched this display with poorly concealed fascination. "The shielding should prevent any external detection. Though I must admit, we're learning new things about its limitations every day." It had been 2 weeks since their dramatic escape from the observatory, ended not by capture but by an unexpected offer from a covert scientific division of the government. The choice had been simple: cooperation in exchange for protection and resources. Now they were part of what was officially called Project Bridge. "The cellular changes are remarkable," Diana said, reviewing the latest test results on her tablet. "Dr. Harrison, your own genetic structure is showing signs of adaptation. Nothing as dramatic as Theron's transformation, but definitely significant." Rowan flexed his hand, watching the now familiar subtle shimmer beneath his skin. He could feel Theron's presence in his mind like a soft melody, growing stronger each day. The connection between them had evolved beyond mere biology into something neither human nor alien science could fully explain. "The child's development is equally unprecedented," Diana continued. "The merger of your genetic materials is creating something entirely new. The implications for both our species. The child is not a scientific specimen." Theron interrupted, her patterns shifting to protective configurations Rowan had learned to recognize. "It represents hope, potential, but not a laboratory experiment." Diana had the grace to look embarrassed. "Of course, I apologize. It's just the possibilities for advancing our understanding of life itself." A sudden alarm cut through the conversation. Red lights flashed as security personnel rushed past their room. Theron's patterns flared with anxiety that Rowan felt echo through their bond. "They found us," she whispered, her hand instinctively moving to her abdomen, where their child's energy signature grew stronger each day. Both sides. Colonel Marcus Ward, their military liaison, burst into the room. "We've detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere. Their technology is like nothing we've seen, but the energy signatures match what we recorded from Theron's crash." "How many?" Rowan asked, already moving to Theron's side. "Two distinct groups," Marcus replied grimly. "They're on converging courses." Theron's patterns shifted rapidly, displaying colors Rowan had never seen before. Through their connection, he felt her fear, but also her determination. "The purists and the evolutionists," she explained. "Both would claim our child for their own purposes." "The facility's defenses," Diana began, but Theron shook her head. "Won't be enough. My people's technology is far beyond yours." She turned to Rowan, her hybrid eyes intense. "But we have something they don't expect." Rowan nodded, understanding flowing through their connection. "Our bond. The new energy signature we create together." "Precisely." Theron's patterns began synchronizing with the subtle luminescence beneath Rowan's skin. "My people believe humans are either a threat to be eliminated or a resource to be exploited. None of them understand the true potential of harmony between our species." Diana watched in amazement as the air around them began to crackle with energy. "What are you doing?" "Something unprecedented," Theron replied. "Like our child." Rowan felt the power building between them, unlike anything he'd experienced before. It wasn't just biological or electrical. It was something new, born from the merger of human and alien potential. Through their strengthening bond, he could sense Theron's plan. "You want to show them," he said, "not just tell them, but make them feel what we've discovered." "The connection we share," Theron confirmed, her patterns now perfectly aligned with his own internal luminescence. "The truth that neither side wants to accept. That true evolution comes not from dominance or purity, but from harmony." Marcus checked his tablet, his expression tense. "They'll be here in minutes. Whatever you're planning." "We'll need the facility's power grid," Theron said. "All of it." Diana hesitated only a moment before nodding. "I'll give you full access. Just try not to melt everything." As Diana and Marcus rushed to make preparations, Rowan turned to Theron. Through their bond, he could feel her anxiety mixed with hope. "This is going to change everything, isn't it?" "Everything changed the moment your blood merged with mine," she replied, taking his hands. Where they touched, energy crackled visibly. "Now we show both our peoples that change isn't something to fear." Above them, two opposing alien fleets prepared for a confrontation that could decide the fate of both their species. But here, underground, something new was building. A power born from the unlikeliest of combinations, about to challenge everything both humans and aliens thought they knew about the nature of life itself. The facility's power grid hummed with unprecedented levels of energy as Rowan and Theron stood in the central chamber. Through the reinforced windows above, they could see flashes of light as the two alien factions engaged in a deadly dance across the night sky. "The purists will try to eliminate what they see as contamination," Theron explained, her patterns pulsing with urgency. "The evolutionists will attempt to capture us for study. Neither understands what we've truly created." Diana's voice crackled over the intercom. "Power levels are at maximum capacity. Whatever you're planning, do it soon. Our sensors show they're preparing to land." Rowan felt the energy building between them, stronger than ever before. Through their bond, he could sense their child's consciousness stirring, responding to the combined power of its parents. "Will this hurt the baby?" Theron's expression softened, her hybrid eyes glowing with affection. "Our child is the source of our strength, not its victim. Feel it." She guided his hand to her abdomen, where patterns of light danced beneath her skin. The moment he touched her, their connection exploded with new awareness. He could feel their child's energy signature, a perfect harmony of human and alien frequencies, pulsing with potential that defied both species' understanding of life itself. "Incoming," Marcus shouted through the intercom. Multiple landing craft on both sides. They're bypassing our defenses like they're not even there. Ready? Theron asked, though she already knew his answer through their bond. Rowan nodded, positioning himself opposite her. They raised their hands, palms facing each other, and let their energies begin to merge. The air between them crystallized with patterns of light that matched both Theron's alien configurations and the subtle luminescence that now lived beneath Rowan's skin. The facility's walls trembled as alien ships landed outside. Through their enhanced connection, Rowan could sense them. The cold, sterile determination of the purists, seeking to erase what they saw as an abomination, and the fever-bright ambition of the evolutionists, eager to exploit what they viewed as a resource. "They're breaching the outer doors," Diana reported, her voice tense. "Our security teams are falling back to your position." The chamber's doors burst open simultaneously on opposite sides. Two groups of aliens entered, one group tall and crystalline, their forms pure and geometric, the other organic but enhanced, their bodies merged with advanced technology. Both stopped short at the sight before them. The energy between Rowan and Theron had become visible to normal sight, a swirling vortex of light and power that filled the chamber with impossible colors. Their child's consciousness joined with theirs, creating a three-part harmony that made the very air sing with new frequencies. "Stop this abomination," the purist leader commanded, their crystalline form vibrating with disgust. "The hybrid must be preserved for study," the evolutionist commander countered, their cybernetic systems whirring as they analyzed the energy patterns. "You're both wrong." Theron's voice carried the combined resonance of their unified energy. "Let us show you." The vortex between them exploded outward, not with destructive force, but with pure connection. Everyone in the chamber, human, purist, and evolutionist alike, was engulfed in a field of shared consciousness. Through their bond, amplified by their child's unique energy signature, Rowan and Theron shared everything. The aliens experienced human emotion, raw and powerful, love, hope, fear, determination. The humans felt alien perception, the pure mathematical beauty of existence, the infinite potential of genetic harmony. And all of them, every being in that chamber, felt the new consciousness growing within Theron, a bridge between all possibilities. "Impossible," the purist leader whispered, their crystalline form resonating with newfound understanding. "Beautiful," the evolutionist commander breathed, their cybernetic systems struggling to process the experience. Diana, watching from behind protective glass, saw the impossible happen. The opposing alien factions lowered their weapons. The humans stopped pointing their guns. In that moment, through the power of pure connection, ancient enemies found common ground. "This is what evolution truly means," Theron said, her voice carrying the wisdom of two species. "Not the destruction of what came before, not the forced march of progress, but the harmonious merger of different ways of being." The child, the purest leader, stepped forward, their crystalline form catching the light of the energy field. "It is neither corruption nor tool. It is the next step," the evolutionist commander finished, "but one that cannot be forced or controlled." Rowan felt their child's consciousness pulse with approval through their bond. This was what it had been trying to show them all along, that true evolution came not from conflict or control, but from understanding and willing cooperation. The energy field slowly dissipated, but its effects remained. Where there had been division, now there was curiosity. Where there had been fear, now there was wonder. It wasn't a perfect solution. Centuries of conflict couldn't be erased in a moment, but it was a beginning. "So," Diana said into the profound silence that followed, "I guess we're going to need a bigger facility." 6 months after the confrontation, the facility had evolved into something unprecedented. A joint human-alien research center dedicated to studying harmonious evolution. The original underground complex had expanded, incorporating both human and alien architecture into something entirely new, much like the child that grew within Theron. Rowan stood at the window of their private quarters, watching representatives from all three species working together in the courtyard below. His skin shimmered faintly in the morning light, the genetic changes from his bond with Theron now a permanent part of him. "They're still arguing about what to call it," Diana said, joining him at the window. "The purists want Center for Genetic Harmony. The evolutionists prefer Institute of Unified Development. The human bureaucrats are pushing for International Xenobiological Research Facility. And none of them quite capture what this place really is." Rowan smiled, feeling Theron's amusement through their bond before she entered the room. Her pregnancy had progressed unlike anything in human or alien medical records. Her natural luminescence had intensified, and the patterns beneath her skin had evolved into increasingly complex configurations. Through their deepening connection, Rowan could feel their child's consciousness growing, already reaching out to understand the world around it. "The child will name it," Theron said confidently, her hybrid eyes sparkling. "When the time comes." The three races had reached an uneasy but hopeful accord. The purists had come to understand that change didn't mean destruction of the old ways, while the evolutionists learned that true progress couldn't be forced. Humanity, caught between these ancient adversaries, proved to be the perfect mediators, young enough to adapt, yet wise enough to learn from others' mistakes. "The latest scans are fascinating." Diana couldn't contain her scientific excitement. "The child's genetic structure, it's not just a combination of human and alien DNA. It's creating entirely new patterns, new possibilities." "Life finds a way," Rowan quoted, making both women look at him questioningly. "Sorry, old Earth movie. But it fits. We keep trying to categorize and control things, while life itself just keeps surprising us." Through their bond, he felt Theron's sudden intake of breath. Her patterns shifted to intense configurations he'd never seen before. "It's time," she said simply. The birth of the first human-alien child drew observers from all three species, though only essential medical personnel were allowed in the actual delivery room. Dr. Diana led the team, working alongside both human and alien specialists as they monitored the unprecedented event. The process defied all expectations. As Theron's contractions intensified, the energy signature she shared with Rowan grew stronger. Their bond, usually a gentle connection, became a conduit for something much more powerful. The child's consciousness, previously a subtle presence, now reached out to everyone in the room. "Remarkable," the purest medical observer whispered, their crystalline form resonating with the energy. "The harmonics are perfect. The genetic integration is beyond anything we theorize," the evolutionist specialist added, their cybernetic sensors struggling to process the data. Rowan barely heard them. Through their bond, he experienced every moment with Theron, their shared strength flowing between them. When the child finally arrived, the room filled with light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The baby girl was beautiful in a way that transcended any single species' definition of the word. Her skin had the subtle luminescence of her mother's people, but with a warmth that spoke of her human heritage. Patterns flowed beneath her surface, but they were neither purely geometric like the purists, nor chaotically organic like the evolutionists. Instead, they formed ever-changing mandalas that somehow looked both ancient and utterly new. When she opened her eyes, everyone in the room gasped. They were like Theron's galaxy eyes merged with Rowan's human ones, but they were also something more. Windows into possibilities that no one had imagined before. "Hope," Theron whispered, cradling their daughter. "Her name is Hope." The moment she spoke the name, the child's consciousness touched everyone present. Unlike the forced sharing of consciousness during the confrontation months ago, this connection was gentle, natural, like remembering something they'd always known but somehow forgotten. Through Hope's eyes, they saw the truth, that the universe wasn't meant to be divided into pure or impure, evolved or primitive, human or alien. It was meant to be a tapestry of infinite variety, each thread strengthening the whole. News of Hope's birth spread quickly, not just through the facility but across Earth and to the alien homeworlds. She became a symbol of what was possible when ancient enemies chose understanding over conflict, when fear of change was replaced by celebration of potential. The facility did eventually get its name, though not from any committee or authority. As hope grew, her unique consciousness connecting with all three species, people simply started calling it the Bridge. It was no longer just a research center or diplomatic outpost. It was a crossing point between what was and what could be. Rowan and Theron stood together on their balcony one evening, watching their daughter play with children from all three species in the courtyard below. Hope's laughter carried on the wind, her joy infectious, her very existence a reminder that the greatest discoveries often come not from careful planning, but from the heart's unexpected choices. "Do you ever regret it?" Theron asked, though she already knew his answer through their bond. That night in the observatory, choosing to help a stranger from the stars. Rowan watched as Hope created patterns of light that her playmates tried to catch, her power already manifesting in ways that brought beauty rather than fear. "Some choices," he said, pulling Theron close, "are bigger than regret. They're the moments that remind us why we exist at all." Above them, the stars shone down on a world forever changed by a simple act of kindness, a genetic quirk, and the endless potential of love to bridge the gaps between worlds.